Here at Styrka Tech, we thrive to help those in need. We will do anything needed to help those in need, but our first mission statement is to help the pursuit of science. The employees and researchers are all given a class number. The classes go from 0 to 5. Class 0 employees are ex-death row convicts and are extremely expendable. They are used on our more dangerous experiments. The CEO is the only Class 5 individual. You are a new employee, meaning you are a Class 1 employee. Some things, such as the fact we work with redacted life forms on occasions, will be unavailable for you. We also sometimes perform experiments on redacted, meaning certain measures have to be taken. Some of these special precautions are a special ceremony to prove that we are redacted. Some of the redacted life forms are quite irritable, meaning we may have special rooms or even redacted to assure our and their own safety. Some of our more impressive or important experiments are in the main building, located in redacted. Some of our more redacted types of experiments must be treated with an immense amount of caution. All of our discoveries must be treated as a serious and genuine threat to not only Styrka Tech itself, but also humanity as a whole. The amount of threat these redacted entities, experiments, and redacted discoveries pose to us are divided into multiple categories. The categories are as follows. Non-threat. A creature, artifact, or experiment that poses no threat to any creature in any way. Class 1. A creature, artifact, or experiment that poses a small threat that can cause minor injury. Class 2. A creature, experiment, or artifact that poses a threat to the area that they are contained in. Therefore, they must be monitored every hour on the hour. Class 3. A creature, artifact, or experiment that could cause destruction on a citywide scale. And Class 4. Any artifact, creature, or experiment that poses a threat that could be counted as apocalyptic, meaning anywhere between worldwide or the entirety of existence. There are also subclasses to each primary category. The subclasses are as follows. Artifact. Anything found by Styrka Tech that is a non-living piece of art, architecture, and clothing, just to name a few things. If an artifact is sentient, it will be labeled as such. Experiment. Anything created, engineered, or biologically changed by Styrka Tech. If an experiment is sentient, it will be labeled as such. Creature. Any creature captured, held, or simply known by Styrka Tech. Whether the creature is captured, free, or unattainable will be included within its file. Now I must explain the system of complicated buildings and containment measures as a whole. We must explain how the buildings are noted and divided into groups. Each building is given a number and contains a research lab, artifact library, and cells, which are given a letter to differentiate each cell. There are also buildings built specifically for holding more dangerous artifacts, creatures, and experiments, which are simply called Buildings Made to Contain, or just MTC. All MTC buildings are given their own number. There are currently only redacted MTC buildings in existence. Now that you know everything that you, as a brand new employee of Styrka Tech, needs to know, I suppose you will be glad to hear that you will be dealing with non-threat creatures, artifacts, and experiments for the time being. We will be sending you files which will specify the category and subclass of the artifacts, creatures, or experiments that you will be handling and their history, abilities, and containment measures. Have a good day, new employee. Styrka Tech Files. The Malefic One. Class 4 Creature. Unattainable. Features. The Malefic One is a human-like creature that stands on hind legs, just like a man. The creature stands at least 7 feet tall. Its skin is a dark scarlet color. Its face ends in a muzzle, just like that of a wolf's. Its eyes, of which it has 3, 2 placed normally and 1 placed slightly higher than the others, in the middle, glows a light blue. Two large horns, at least 4 feet long, grow on both sides of its head. They both curl once, then become a long, straight point. Wrapped around its body, from the shoulders down to its ankles, is a large, thick leather robe. The leather robe unfolds into 2 massive bat wings. They have a wingspan of at least 20 feet in length. Its body is massive, just like a large, well-built man, except it has no nipples on its pecs, no belly button, and where a human's genitals would be, there is nothing but a flat, smooth surface. The beast has 5 fingers like a human, but its sharp nails are 5 inches long and look like a strong metal. Its feet, each have 3 toes, 2 in the front and 1 in the back for balance. History. The Malefic One was first noticed by the CEO long ago. How long is unknown. What is known is that it was a mere day after the first murder in the universe occurred. The Malefic One appeared from nowhere and stood before the man who had viciously murdered his own family. The Malefic One somehow brought the man's brother back to our plane of existence. By all accounts, the brother's body was still just as broken as it had been when he was beaten to death. The Malefic One touched the murderer, and he was instantly unable to move. Very soon the undead brother did to the murderer what had been done to himself. Each attack on the murderer made the murdered more whole and soon fixed his entire body. The murderer was still alive at this point, unable to die. The Malefic One was heard saying that he needed what was owed to him. The undead man plunged his hand into his brother's chest and pulled from it his heart. The Malefic One took the heart, told the undead man to cross over into whatever afterlife the island they found themselves on held, and took a bite from the man's heart. Once a bite was taken from the man's heart, the murderer finally died, and the undead disappeared. The CEO speak to the entity for some time, but the files of that conversation can only be seen by employees of Class 5 clearance. After the conversation, the creature simply faded away as if he were a simple mirage. It is assumed that the Malefic One lives in a place resembling limbo, and that any spirit could contact him and might even be able to strike a deal. The Malefic One has been showing himself more often now, perhaps because of the increase in violent deaths, or simply because he is planning something large. The true answer is not yet found, but the files are always being updated with each new discovery, and with a bright new researcher such as yourself, we may find answers sooner than later. Abilities. The Malefic One obviously possesses many abilities. It is obviously able to teleport to and from its original plane of existence and our own. Whether a deal is needed for this ability to be activated or not is unknown. It has the ability to bring the dead back to an almost living state of being. This ability has been completely verified to only occur once a deal has been made with the Malefic One. The Malefic One gains every bit of knowledge about its target once a deal has been made. It seems to have the ability to completely stun a target. It looks as if its saliva is the key to this ability. The large leather bat wings leads researchers to believe that the Malefic One is capable of flight. There is no evidence to confirm or deny this hypothesis. The Malefic One certainly has some form of heightened strength, as it is shown that it has enough strength to look upon the CEO without being put out of commission, and has many other strength-based feats, such as defeating an entire heavily armed 10-man team sent to capture it. The Malefic One has a strange ability that is most certainly used to deter anyone from cheating him out of the deal. The creature brought back are simply called undead by us, but the ones who back out of the Malefic One's deal are called something different. These immortal creatures live for eternity, eventually going mad as their flesh, muscle, and bones all wither away. These creatures are simply called immortal compost. Most creatures who become immortal compost do so because they refuse to give the Malefic One what is owed to him. The target's still beating heart, meaning the target cannot die and lives on forever in agony. The Malefic One simply tells the one who broke the deal that it will be back in 100 years' time, and that it expects what it was promised. The Malefic One always eventually gets what was promised. Containment measures. There are currently no containment measures set for the Malefic One. Styrka Tech files. The Thinking Cap. Currently non-threat. Artifact. Captured. Features. The Thinking Cap is a gray, feathery headdress that remains gray until placed upon the head of a living creature. Once on the head of a living creature, it becomes a colorful array of beautiful, vibrant colors. The feathers still remain as they were, except a new vibrant color for each. History. The Thinking Cap was found on the skull of a 400-year-old skeleton of a gorilla in an ancient Aztec temple surrounded by etchings on the wall. The etchings show the drawings of what had happened at the temple. The gorilla had stumbled into the temple, found the beautifully made headdress, and placed it on its head. Once it was on, the cap made the gorilla much more intelligent. The gorilla then lived like a king in the ancient temple. The researchers were instructed to bring an expendable employee to test the headdress on. The expendable employee was a Class 0 individual. Once the hat was on their head, they were instantly given knowledge of all things on the planet Earth. The Class 0 individual was quickly executed, and the Thinking Cap was taken to its holding cell. Abilities. The first ability that the Thinking Cap possesses is the least notable, but still interesting. This ability is the fact that the feathers of the magnificent headdress are in a constant state of being a mix of gray and black colors until it is placed on the head of a living creature, at which point it becomes of vibrant, colorful shades of yellow, orange, red, and blue. The Thinking Cap's final ability is most certainly the most impressive. Once it is placed upon the head of a living creature, that creature is given all of the knowledge compiled on the planet Earth, making it a verifiable genius. Containment measures. The Thinking Cap is held in the artifact library of Building 8. It is held in a bulletproof case that can only be opened with fingerprint recognition, and an armed guard stands watch at all times. If there is ever a breach in containment of the Thinking Cap, sufficient measures will be taken, such as adding 10 more guards, as it is currently seen as a non-threat, but could theoretically, if in the wrong hands, become a Class 4 threat. So, appropriate actions must be taken. Styrka Tech Files, Experiment 183. Class 3, Experiment Creature, free. Features. Experiment 183 is a 6-foot-tall humanoid rat with the pointed muzzle of a rat. The muzzle is at least a few feet in length. It also has long rat ears that are 2.5 feet long, 2 3.5-foot long sharpened buck teeth, a 5-foot long rat tail, large beady squinting eyes, 2 long crooked arms, and bruised, broken, and battered legs. Its hands have 4 human-like fingers that all have jagged and torn nails. It has many patches of matted fur on its body. The parts of its body without fur reveal light pink, paper-thin skin. History. Experiment 183 was a normal rat content to live in its small cage and have small tests done on it for a piece of cheese and a bowl of rat food, until Dr. Jonathan Briggs and Dr. Angela Barker, two deceased Styrka Tech researchers, decided to hasten the speed of their experiments. They injected it with serum Forza. Serum Forza is an injection created to enhance the recipient's strength of body and mind. The doctors thought that the rat had died and threw it and all 182 of the other failed experiments down the drain. It flowed down the river of sewage water and washed up on a piece of concrete. Lying there dead, it began to mutate. Once in its newly mutated form, it made its way to the surface, found the building the doctors were in, killed the guard, and took his revenge. Incurring the wrath of the Specialized Threat Detainment soldiers, Experiment 183 quickly escaped them due to its heightened physical abilities. Experiment 183 was presumed dead until 1 month ago, when it was spotted on security cameras, murdering several Styrka Tech personnel. Experiment 183 is therefore deemed a current threat. If it is seen, you must report directly to your higher-up. They will deliver the message to the CEO. Abilities. The injection of serum Forza gave Experiment 183 multiple abilities and enhanced physical and mental attributes. These abilities include enhanced speed, enhanced strength, enhanced endurance, and enhanced intelligence, enhanced sense of sight, smell, hearing, and it also gained a brand new sense, which gave it the ability to see the heat signature of its prey. And also, every time it sees something that it does not yet understand, Serum Forza activates in its mind, giving it all of the knowledge known on the subject. Experiment 183 understands and can speak and write any language it hears as well. All of these abilities make Experiment 183 a very dangerous creature for Styrka Tech. Containment measures. Experiment 183 is currently evading capture, but once it has been captured, we will be forced to put it into a completely empty concrete room with no exit and only a small entrance for the food tray. These measures must be taken on account of Experiment 183's ability to automatically understand anything that it lays its eyes on, making all electronic and physical locks completely useless. Once we conduct our experiments and learn all that we can from it, Experiment 183 will be terminated. Styrka Tech Files. Hunger. Class 4 creature. Unattainable. The topic held within this file has many names: the Devourer, the Great Hunger, the Wendigo, the Feasting Spirit. For the purposes of this file, we will simply call it Hunger. Features. Hunger is 7.5 feet tall, skinny enough to be able to see its ribs right up against its tight skin. Where a normal creature would have ears, it has 2 6-inch wide holes. Its eyes are completely black. Its lips are light blue. Its skin is so pale that its veins that bulge right against it seem to glow in comparison. Its arms hang so low that they touch the ground. It has 4 fingers. Its hand is much like a human's, but with no thumbs. Each finger is roughly 8 inches long, and each has a 4-inch serrated claw. History. It is an ancient spirit entity that has a large cult following, spanning across many islands within the void. Its entire existence is dedicated to satiating the hunger of all creatures. Hunger for food, drink, blood, sex, and even the flesh of others. Freedom is his doctrine. Freedom to feed your hunger, to take what you want, when you want. It is somehow able to cross the boundaries between each island within the void. We have theorized that it lives outside of the void itself. If this hypothesis is true, it could mean that there is much more to discover than even the CEO had first predicted. Abilities. Hunger has many interesting and devastating abilities. Hunger can live inside of the dreamscape without a physical form. It seems to be able to do this even without a creature's mind to inhabit. It is able to speak to others through the dreamscape. It can cloud a living creature's mind and change what they see around them, and can even do this when they are awake once it learns their name. Hunger can read the mind of any creature he comes into contact with. It can take its physical form using any host that eats the flesh of their own kind. Hunger seems to be unable to take its physical form without a host body. Hunger's physical form will take some amount of inspiration from the overall look of the host. Once in its physical form, Hunger can use a powerful form of telekinesis, mind manipulation, super strength, and a form of hypnosis. Hunger's hypnosis was powerful enough to take complete control of every single guard within a minimum security building. Luckily, the CEO was completely unaffected and easily handled the situation. Hunger's most devastating ability is an aura that seems to reach up to 10 miles. Any creature within the area smells something akin to rotting flesh and is filled with courage. This courage inspires most creatures within the area to feed their desires, even their most depraved desires. The CEO is, as usual, completely unaffected by this ability, even when directly next to Hunger. Containment measures. There are currently no containment measures set for Hunger. Styrka Tech researchers attempted to create the perfect environment for Hunger to show itself by forcing a Class 0 personnel into a containment cell and starving them for 2 weeks at a time for 3 months. Each time a second week concluded, they were fed a half-pound of human flesh cut into steaks. The meat was given and eaten raw. After 3 months of this, the Class 0 individual began to beg for the meat. The researchers forced him to wait the extra 2 days so that the regimen would not be broken. Once the Class 0 personnel ate the meat, Hunger burst through the personnel, seemingly using the body as a doorway to our plane of existence. Hunger quickly caused every one of the researchers and security personnel to begin killing one another. The CEO was notified quickly and arrived within minutes. Hunger quickly left by somehow inhaling its own physical form. Hunger has been spotted since, seemingly confirming the theory that it cannot be killed other than just on the physical plane of existence. But even without a physical body, it roams the dreamscape. All of these events have led Styrka Tech to study the entity further before attempting to detain it again. Any knowledge or insights into how Styrka Tech personnel should attempt the capture of this particular entity must be given to your superior, who will deliver it directly to the CEO.